Welcome to the Real Estate Prosperity Podcast. My name is Robert Metz, and I'm the author of the just published book, which is entitled Real Estate Prosperity. My book is available in both e-form and hard copy at www.realestateprosperityllc.com. In this ongoing series of podcasts, we're exploring the various ways by which you can legitimately and substantially make huge profits in the real estate business by flipping or speculating, investing for the longer term, rehabbing, renting, a whole gamut of means to make real money. Making real money with honest-to-goodness methods and knowledge, not fantasy and silly get-rich-quick schemes that will get you no place fast. In this third in a series of podcasts on foreclosures, we pick up from the second podcast where we were talking about the foreclosure auction sale. And having covered a successful third-party bidder purchasing the property at auction, having gone through the tendering of the deposit, the 10-day, in most states, redemption period, during which the borrower who is being foreclosed upon has an opportunity to cure the debt and hold on to the property and cancel the sale, and also getting to the 1 month or 31-day period after the sale, by which time the bidding buyer has to satisfy the balance of the purchase price above and beyond his 30% deposit. We're at the point where the sheriff's deed is delivered and the winning bidder can take title to the property. Again, most bidders will either look to invest for the longer term or flip the property. Some may want to live in it, fix it up, not fix it up, demolish a property in connection with a larger rehab project. As many possibilities as a mind can conjure up. The bottom line is getting a good deal, having that built-in upfront equity, and going from there. That is a key. In the event that there is a deficiency judgment, meaning that the foreclosing lender does not get his full debt or his upset price as set in the foreclosure sale, and he is still out money. He may have gotten enough to satisfy him, enough to either satisfy his upset bid or to have caused him to cut the sale off and say, okay, I'm willing to sell, I'm willing to let this thing go at auction, I'll wipe my mortgage out, I'm getting some money out, but he still has a deficiency, namely a balance, a difference between the true debt and what he got at sale. The deficiency can be acted upon in most states and most jurisdictions through a second lawsuit in which the foreclosing lender, now the former lender, because he's gotten his money out of the property and the sale has been held, can sue in a civil action the defaulting borrower, who is now no longer the borrower and now no longer the owner of the property because the sale having been held, he has been wiped out. Some third party owns the property. So the former lender can sue the former borrower for the deficiency. The deficiency action is quite rare because it's a second lawsuit. It entails time and all the costs incident in the litigation. And quite rightfully so, most lenders or former lenders realize that if a person or a company was just wiped out of its interest in a property, lost it at a foreclosure sale, typically they will not have the resources to cover a deficiency judgment. And if they do have the resources, they will shift them otherwise elsewhere, and they can wipe out any deficiency action in a Chapter 13 or a Chapter 7 bankruptcy proceeding. So, again, a deficiency action, for the record, exists. It's an ultimate remedy to recoup any additional losses by the former borrower, but it is rare, and it is not the typical situation where a former borrower goes after a former lender on a deficiency judgment. Typically, the debt is forgotten about, and they go on in life, they go on in business. Now, in connection with a foreclosure, the key is, for the borrower, the key for the bidder is, how do you find a potentially good deal? How do you find a deal? First, there are the printed lists. Years ago, they were provided by individuals going down to the county courthouse or the foreclosure section, typically of the Superior Court, for the entire state, where in most states all the records are kept for foreclosures in one office, literally, despite however many counties there are. And somebody would copy down the information on foreclosures and follow it up and try to find a property that way. Today, some of the states are actually online, officially, and there are a variety of services that can provide, either online or sometimes, although it's an outmoded means today, by fax, hard copy, or otherwise, lists of newly filed foreclosure actions. For very, very modest sums, an individual potential investor can get up-to-date foreclosure listings in designated portions of a state or for the entire state, literally the day or the day after they are filed of record. So there can be a continuing flow of information as to newly filed and not newly filed, older pending foreclosure actions that are of record and still open in the state that a potential investor or speculator can have full access to for next to nothing, $20, $50 a month, sometimes a lot less, and have at his fingertips vital information concerning a whole range of properties that are all possibly, potentially terrific deals. Now, these lists typically contain a lot of information. Some of the information is irrelevant, but there's crucial information. The owner, the property address, the lot and block, identity of the lender foreclosing, the docket number, sometimes the amount in foreclosure, or at least the original amount of the loan. It would typically have the name of the attorney who's handling the foreclosure action. It may have secondary liens listed on the information, and sometimes in today's world, it might even have a valuation or an approximate market value attached to the foreclosure information so that a prospective bidder, a speculator, can look at it and say, hey, here's a mortgage amount, and this is what the property is worth. Here's some comparables. So it's relatively easy to go through the list, pick your farm area, a designated geographic area, a price range, many different ways to approach it, and to have at your fingertips newly listed and older listed foreclosure actions. And sometimes the terrific buy, the terrific steal on a foreclosure property is for something that was listed yesterday, or something that's still in litigation, delayed by a bankruptcy, or just going through the process, what have you, that was listed maybe a year and a quarter ago. So from these lists that are online, that are available in a variety of means from the state and from private entities, for next to nothing, you have all this information. You can pick and choose, you can go hit and miss, because again, there's no ironclad rule. The older action, the newer action, either one can be a terrific deal that you can get like that, or they can be zeros. But if you have a quantity, a volume of information constantly being updated, you're in the game. You have a potential inventory. Now, aside from checking lists of foreclosure actions, it makes sense for a speculator and investor to have his own network of professionals, attorneys, title officers, surveyors, mortgage brokers, mortgage bankers, appraisers, even contractors who are in the know, who can feed him leads on properties that seem to be in financial distress, that are in foreclosure or might be going into foreclosure. It makes sense to cultivate, to create these networks, and to have a standing arrangement with these individuals, a share in the profits, a certain fee, a flat fee, whatever you can conjure up, whatever the traffic will bear, so to speak. But to have a network of referrers, professionals, contractors, is crucial and could be invaluable. In addition to that, you have the local multiple listing system. The local multiple listing system does not just list properties that are there at full retail. That's a very underlooked source of potential foreclosures. There are a lot of distressed properties listed on the multiple listing system by realtors, Many times they're listed for substantially more than they're going to go for. Many times they're listed at bargain priced numbers. On a multiple listing system, you can find out information about the existing mortgage, the status of the property. Is it in foreclosure or not? Does it have a large mortgage, a small mortgage? Is there a private lender on the mortgage? Is it an institutional lender? Has the seller been in bankruptcy? With experience, by learning the game of real estate, by learning the methods to invest, to speculate, if you have the underpinnings of knowledge, you can look at the multiple, you can look at 10, 25 properties, and you can learn how to start identifying properties that may be a deal. But you need the knowledge, and you need to put forth the effort. Aside from the multiple listing system, visual inspections. Many times that dilapidated property, as we all know, or should know, can be a property in financial distress. It might be a candidate for foreclosure, it might be in foreclosure. Write down the address, check it out, check with the county courthouse, the municipal tax assessor, the tax collector. Find out the status of the property. Try to contact the owner or the mortgage company. Word of mouth is very important. There are always the local busybodies, the people who mean well and don't mean well, but have the local knowledge. They know what's going on. They know who has problems. Routine visual inspections of neighborhoods are crucial. Then there are the old standby, the legal ads for sheriff sales, for foreclosure sales. The various jurisdictions, the various states have their own requirements, but typically there are statutory requirements that an upcoming foreclosure sale be listed in designated local or county-wide newspapers in a legal advertisement section. Today, a lot of that's online and also in hard copy. So many weeks, so many months before the scheduled sale. From the legal ad of the foreclosure sale, you can get a lot of information. Again, the foreclosing attorney, the owner, the property description, the amount of the debt, possibly information about secondary liens. When a foreclosure sale is canceled, it does not occur, the legal ad is still of tremendous use because the property is going to get relisted. So an advertisement for a property that had a sale canceled or delayed by a Chapter 13 is still a crucial, a valuable source. So the legal ads are a very, very important source in finding foreclosure properties. Once you find a decent candidate for a deal, you want to contact the owner. You do not want to contact the owner by trespassing upon the property, by going up to the door and possibly having a confrontation, or being in breach of the law, civil or criminal. Again, as a trespasser, for harassment you can be charged, but you contact the owner through a clearly, properly worded solicitation letter. The solicitation letter should be very simple, clean, typewritten to the owner, no high pressure, no nonsense, identifying yourself as a local buyer, you had interest in his property, perhaps the two of you can meet, and you, as you set forth in the letter, and work a situation out, work a deal out that might be mutually beneficial. If you get no response to your solicitation letter, you might try to get a phone number and follow up. A little bit difficult in today's era of cell phones, but worth a try. Or send a follow-up solicitation letter, a friendly reminder. But the solicitation letter should be clear, to the point, businesslike, sincere, and basic. But the solicitation letter is a way to go after the owner in foreclosure, not by showing up and knocking on the door or dumping a lot of literature or false promises on the doorstep. Next, having located a prospective deal, you have to negotiate the transaction. And that shall be the subject of the 4th podcast on purchasing, speculating in foreclosure property.